Hey, welcome. I am Jess Green, and I am here to talk to you about all things business success strategies. And today, I wanted to put this training together for you on the quest for high performance. So, a little bit of my background, I've been in business for 18 years. Okay. I've done multiple different types of businesses from brick and mortar to online retail to network marketing. My degree is in business and marketing. And I fell into network marketing a little over 10 years ago. And I tell people this all the time. I think it probably taught me more about how to do business than even my business degree did in college. But sometimes you get those jobs, you got to get those degrees, right? And then I got my big girl job. I call it my big girl job out of college. And then very quickly realized that I work well with others, not for others, and really just didn't want to do that anymore. So now I spend my time helping people like you become better business owners, ones that want to scale, ones that want to increase, ones that want to help more people, impact more people. And one thing along my journey that I feel like I learned very early on, and maybe it was because my parents always instilled in me no excuses, right? So no excuses, the reverse of that is good habits. And I've always been looking at no ceiling, like how far can I go, how big can I build, what's the very top, and then beyond. And so every day when I wake up and I hop out of bed, there's always a quest for high performance for me, because there's a lot to achieve out there, there's a lot to go after. And I put a little quote on Facebook, and it was the saying that goes around quite often about, are you happy with where you're at? And if you're not happy with where you're at, what are you planning to do about it? Right? There's a lot of people out there that say they want a lot of things. They want to do a lot of things. They want to create a lot of things. They want to make a lot of money, but then they don't actually go out and do anything about it. And a big piece of that is about our habits. And I've been talking about habits this whole month. And last week, I shared with you a little bit about the Tony Robbins pain versus pleasure methodology. I think that it's incredibly useful. And if you have not read his book, Awaken the Giant Within, he talks a lot about it in there. And I still highly recommend that you go through that process and learn that process. It's how I filter a lot of things that I do. And it will help you become a higher performer. So I want to go through some things with you. And I have lots of content here for you and some things to go do afterwards in a book, of course, book that I'm going to recommend. Last week, I think it was Atomic Habits I talked about, and it really has to do with habit stacking. And what I want to talk to you today more about is the quest for high performance when it comes to your habits. So let's just take a peek at people who are on, and I'm going to give you a quiz at the end of this that you can go take to kind of help you just jog your thought process on where you fall in these categories, just to do a little self-assessment. I always say plan, do, review, and take a look at the person in the mirror, because that's the only one in control every single day of whether you succeed or you fail, is that person in the mirror. And so that's the person you have to have a talk with each day. And so I'm going to give you a little self-assessment quiz by the author of this book towards the end of this training. So stick around. But just a few things that are characteristics of high performers and people who are on a quest for high performance. And do any of these resonate with you? So take some notes and think to yourself if these things resonate with you and if you emulate some of these qualities. So number one is they develop routines. People that are looking to be high performers or regularly high perform have to have routines. And maybe why following routines hasn't worked for you so far is maybe it doesn't fit your lifestyle. Maybe it doesn't make sense with your circumstances. Maybe you're following someone else's routine. I'm actually going to give you a link to go download a free app that we have that houses a lot of our business material. And it has some free training in there and free guides in there. And one of the things that I've loaded in there is a template for how I run my routine and getting tasks done every day. And I want you to have access to that. I've done some trainings on it before. It is absolutely, if you are looking to be on a quest for high performance, if you follow this routine, it should work really well for you to crush a lot of things in each day. Now, again, if you're following someone else's routine, which this is kind of mine, and it's not working for you, then always go back to a plan, a do, and a review, right? And see what works best for you. Don't make excuses, but you can figure out what works best for you. Or maybe the routine just doesn't align with your goals. Make sure the routine that you've created for yourself does align with your goals. And why you should develop the routines. It keeps you on track even when you don't have the motivation to do it. Okay, so if it's a routine, if it's a habit, if it's something that you have to do every day, then even when you don't feel like doing it, you will do it anyways, because your quest is for high performance. And so you will keep that routine so that you keep on track for what you're needing to accomplish. And that's why the system that I put in place and have this template for works for me so well, because I log it the day ahead and throughout the day that I'm working through the tasks that I know need to get done, and I can move them in order of importance throughout my day as my day continues. And I filter everything through Stephen Covey's grid. Oh my goodness, what is it called? It is eluding me right now. But there's a grid that I keep inside of that template. That's Stephen Covey's grid of how to filter all of your tasks through, especially when things are thrown at you throughout the day, so you don't get too off track. And you're filtering things through like what's urgent, what's important and urgent, what's not important, what's not urgent, right? So this will help maximize your productivity. It stops you from overthinking tasks, right? If we just get them down on paper, we filter them through how it needs to be done each day. You will stop overthinking what actually needs to get done and just do it. It's just a check mark, a cross off. You need to get it done. It develops self-discipline, of which a lot of us need, right? Those routines will help us with self-discipline, and it optimizes our time. I am a time optimizer. If I can dry my hair and listen to an Audible, if I can stack habits so that they work well for me and I get a lot done in the course of a day, phenomenal. Okay, a few questions to ask yourself when developing your routine. Will this free up time for me to accomplish my tasks and my goals? Okay, I need you to create a routine that gives you more time in your day. We're going to, at the end of this, evaluate the time that we utilize throughout the week. Okay, but I need this to free up more time for you to work on your tasks and your goals. Will this help me accomplish my goals? Does this make sense for my lifestyle at this moment? Everybody's life changes and has different obstacles that get in the way or things that are happening. So does this routine aid in what makes sense for your lifestyle right now? And can I swap out an activity that works better for me? You always want to be asking those questions when creating your routine. Okay. So like I live in Michigan, right? And it's cold during the winter and I have a gym in my basement, but I love going outside and getting exercise. Well, in the wintertime, that's not always good in my routine. Can I get exercise outside? Yes, but in a routine, it's kind of hard because some days it could be extremely cold out or raining or snowing or freezing rain, right? So that could mess up my routine. So could I swap out activities that work better for me? Have a ulterior plan, right? So like if you have this set up in your routine, if something gets screwed up, then what? Here's a great story. I have this treadmill in my gym. We refuse to get a new one, but it keeps breaking down on me, right? Actually, at one point, every piece of my gym equipment seemed to break down on me. And so I was getting very frustrated because I'd go down there to get my workout in and have a plan in my head for my routine. Then I'd get down there and all of a sudden the treadmill wouldn't turn on. So I'm like, all right, let me go over to the arc trainer, which is like an elliptical machine. I'd get on that, wouldn't power up. Thankfully, that machine, you can self-power a little bit, but it doesn't quite work the same. You can't adjust. It was just like one thing after another. And I was like, I'm going to go out for a walk instead. This was like last summer. and it all of a sudden starts pouring rain. And I'm like, okay, is Jessica not supposed to get an exercise today? We got to figure this out. And that's when I figured out that my arc trainer, I could actually make it work. I just couldn't intensify it and make it harder, but I could make it work. And I had to alter my routine. So some days when I want to have an outdoor workout throughout the summer, that's different than what I would be doing during the wintertime, right? So we want to make sure that we have activities that work for us, and that we do have a plan B in case we need one. Okay. Number 2. So that was number 1. They develop routines. So the quest for high performers develop routines. Number 2 is they automate. Oh, let's stop for a moment of silence. Automation queen right here. If I can automate it, we're doing it. If I can't automate it, I'm going to think real long and hard about whether we're doing it or not. So especially in team environments like network marketing or businesses, if I can't automate it, it's probably a no. So have you ever heard that saying? And more recently, I'm getting really good at this. If it is not a hell yes, it's a no, right? And that should be something that you plug right into your life. If it is not a hell yes, it is a no. So that's how automation goes for me. So in team building, if I can't automate bringing on people or onboarding or training processes, we need to figure it out, because it needs to be automated. I want to be able to spend time on the things that are important and automate the rest of it. And so anything I do in business has to have a piece of automation in it. And so you should always be asking yourself, in order to highly perform what you try to get done in a given day, I can think of some of the people who are on these Zooms and lives all the time, that they need to probably figure out how to automate pieces of their life, because they could get a whole lot more done if they did. And refusing to spend the time to automate things and build that automation out will cost you later, and it will cost you triple. It will cost you quadruple. So if you can if you can embed some automation into your daily activity, your job, your routines, you gonna be a high performer. Okay. So automation is key. It is probably number 1 for me. Actually, no, routines is number 1, but number 2 is automation. Number 3 is they adapt. Things are going to change all the time. Goals can change all the time. I was on this journey I'll give you a really great story. So I've been in network marketing for a little over 10 years. Because I've done so well in network marketing, it afforded me to be able to create some additional businesses, right? So we created an event company. We had, highly sought after speakers like Rachel Hollis and one of my favorite authors, Hal Elrod, and some other crazy, amazing individuals in the network marketing space like Fraser Brooks and Rob Sperry, who were all like all of our speakers and our hosts. And we had this crazy, amazing event company. And we also, at the same time, we're building out some technology for an application. And it was not a small undertaking. All the meanwhile, I was operating a multi-million-dollar network marketing team and creating my own coaching and training business in the background. Okay. So if you want to talk about how you create routines for success and you automate things, now let's talk about adapting in an environment like that. So we were crushing the event business, right? It is, of course, the first event is not going to be a winner. I mean, it was a winner, but not in the money category, right? We were at a loss. We knew that was going to happen. We were just getting the company off the ground. And then our second event, we were going to come out of that and almost be at break even. The third event was going to get us in the black. Oh, so exciting. It was jamming. It was good. I loved doing it. It was one of my favorite things to do out of all the business adventures I've been in, is creating those events. And then the pandemic happened. Literally like weeks after our second event in Naples, Florida, we came home and boom, that hit. And so our third event that was planned got pushed. And we were like, oh, okay, got to try to pay the bills here. We had to adapt, and we had to adapt quickly. We then had to push that event again and get deposits back and refund people's money. And we had to adapt and adapt and adapt. If we weren't able to adapt, that would have been crushing. We were able to end up at the end of all of this, that business, we ended up having to close because it just was not going to be able to produce. We didn't know when, right? We couldn't answer when. So we needed to get people's money refunded. We needed to dissolve the partnerships. They weren't working. A lot of that stuff will cause chaos, right? And it did, but we had to adapt. Along with that, we had a technology company that was having some of the same things happening because we weren't expecting that to happen. We had to adapt as business owners. So my plan of what I was going to be doing a few years back was CEO of a technology company and still being a network marketer, then quickly shifted. Oh, and owning an event company and running those quickly shifted. I had to adapt. It actually probably was one of the harder pieces to adapt. And now coming out of that almost 2 years later, I've completely shifted and adapted. One thing that I'm adding back in is those events and those masterminds and that coaching, because that's a piece that I realized through all of it that I loved doing the very most. So coming through that adaptation, I was able to figure out what works best for Jessica Green, right? So adapting is so important to the big scheme of things. You've got to be able to roll through things, learn from them, grow through them, and become an even higher performer outside of that. I will never do 4 different types of companies ever again at the same time and try to run them all myself. That is a big learning experience. I will be stacking businesses now that make sense, that are all part of the one brand, Jessica Green. Opportunities come and go, so you have to be adaptable. Okay, number 4, they take time for themselves. This was one thing that I did not have down that I definitely learned in the last 2 years, coming out of those massive changes that I had to adapt through. Okay, so taking time for yourself is so important. I still guilt myself a little bit when I decide to do a Netflix and chill night with my husband, but I don't do it as much as I used to. I used to literally beat myself up. I wouldn't give myself a break. I had to be one of the highest performing individuals to run 4 companies at one time and lead all of them. And, no one saw the pandemic coming. No one saw the trials and tribulations we would go through, but man, I wasn't taking enough time for myself. So when I had to adapt, when things started shutting down and it started closing our businesses and it started making it really hard for us to keep on our path, I wasn't taking time for myself. I wasn't calming down. So I've told the story a lot of times. I found myself in a beanbag love sack at the end of a day one day, almost feeling like I was having heart palpitations. No, not almost feeling, I actually thought I was gonna have a heart attack. Let's just be honest, because I wasn't taking time for myself. So this is the 4th piece that is so important when you're talking high performance. We have to learn how to take a break. If you are the Energizer Bunny, yes, I'm talking to you. If you are the Energizer Bunny and you think that you can maintain what you're doing starting at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, going, overcommitting yourself to too many things all at the same time, and you're not taking time for yourself, you need to plan that piece in there. Take time for yourself, celebrate your wins, rest on your rest days. Do you know that in my time management, my little template I'm going to share with you, I actually put in there rest on Sundays and I check it off. Because I have to, because I'm such a high performing brain that if I don't put rest in there, I now know what happens to me. I now know I will get sick. I now know I will get tired. I now know that I will crash and burn, and then I'm no good to anybody. So I have to actually put rest in my checklist. Okay, a couple of recommendations. So I want you to, this is your homework assignment. I want you to go track your time for 7 days. I want you to track your habits hour by hour. Literally write out, I don't know, rip out of an old calendar, 7 days, all the hours. I know y'all have them. If you don't, get out a nice notebook, an Excel spreadsheet. I don't care how you do it. Don't overplan it. Don't overthink it. I want you to track the next 7 days. I want you to write down every hour, and I don't want you to operate any differently than you normally do. I want you to be honest with yourself, because we can't move forward unless we actually track the real time. If you go and you decide to be a high performer for the next 7 days and you track time based on your high performing 7 days and you're not realistic about what you normally do, then I can't help you change, right? You're just living in a fairy tale. So I want you to track your time for the next 7 days, hour by hour. Put everything in there. Netflix and chill time, shower time, getting pretty time, work time, task time. I had someone contact me the other day that said, I need to do more. I've got to grow this faster. So my first question was, how many hours a day are you putting in? You might be on here. How many hours a day are you putting in? If you are saying to yourself, I need this faster, I need to work harder, I need this to happen quicker, then how many productive hours a day are you putting into that? We're going to work on that, okay? But you have to first go back and track your 7 days. I need to know what you were doing hour by hour, okay? And then after you do that, don't go dig into this before. Well, you can go download it so that you have it ready. But after, I want you to go and download my daily task template. Okay. It's in our app. If you go to hustleandslay.app, you can download our app for free. All of these trainings get loaded in there every week. So you'll have access to those always. And that's where our 21-day challenges are held. You're always welcome to take part in those. We actually created a new two things. We created the ability to just bill through the Apple and Google Play Store. So there is no separate subscription. You can just do it all yourself. And then there's also a pay as you go. There's subscription. If you want the cheapest model, $21 a month, 21-day challenge, and you want to do all of them, which I highly recommend because they will stack like habits on top of each other. But if you just want to do like, hey, Sydney's TikTok challenge one is blowing people's TikTok channels up this month. Okay. So if you want just that one, you can pay just a one-time fee for that. Okay. So there's that. Sorry, I squirreled a little bit out on that, but we made some changes recently. I want to make sure everybody knew about. In that, you will also find we have a new tile in there. If you're already a subscriber to our app and you don't see this, log out, log back in, refresh it. There's a new tile in there where we're going to be continuing to load some free content. One is going to be a link to my superpowers form that you can fill out if you've never filled that out before. It's really will help you figure out your brand. Number two for me will be my task and to-do list. It is free to download in the app and you will always have it. It's a Trello board. Okay. I'm going to put that in there so you'll be able to have that to then start running your day by. And then I'll have to go get the training for it out. I'll have to walk you through the board. It's not that difficult, but if you've never used Trello before, maybe a couple pointers are always good. Okay, so that's your homework assignment. Is to track your last 7 days and then go to the app, at least download the free app and then go in and download that free template. The book that I want to recommend is High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. It's kind of a long book. It's kind of a big, thick book. He's really good on Audible too. So if you don't like reading the physical book, Audible is great. You can do it while drying your hair or working out or going on walks. That's habit stacking. And it's a phenomenal book. If you want to be a high performer, if you want a book that's going to help you become a high performer, his book is incredible. You can also go to highperformanceindicator.com, and take his little assessment test on whether you're a high performer or not. Just answering the questions alone will help you determine if you need to work in some areas without even getting the results from it. Okay. One thing his overview is his book. He goes through first seeking clarity, figuring out where you're at. You've got to be honest with yourself about where you're at. Generating some energy around creating routines and all those things. Raise necessity of why you need to become a higher performer. Increase productivity and how to do that. Developing influence, and then demonstrating courage in all of these categories to become a higher performer. Okay. And last, I'm going to leave you with 10 things to help you become a higher performer. Okay. So first I need you to define your goals. Top high performers always create high performance habits. You must first identify what you want to achieve and create clear, specific goals that are measurable, SMART goals. I talk about them a lot, and work towards it. Number two, create that routine. I need you to create a routine. That's going to help you perform at the highest level, but you got to stick to it. Consistency is key here. Prioritize your tasks. That's the Stephen Covey Oh my gosh, I don't know why I can't think of what it's called, but it is in that template in Trello that you're going to get, because I put it there so that you can always filter all your tasks through that as you're organizing your day. Okay. So prioritize your tasks, eliminate distractions. This one, you need to set timers on your phone. Sydney talks about it all the time in her social media management and tips and tricks. Set timers on your phones for things, eliminate distractions, put your phone on airplane mode if you're working on a project so you do not get distracted by those notifications, but you need to eliminate distractions in your life. Focus on the present. Focus on the things that are right here, right now, so that you can become a high performer. All right. Stop getting yourself caught up in the wouldas, couldas, shouldas, what's going to happen next week, next month, next year. Not saying you don't need to have a focus on your goals and the path to getting there, but you need to focus on the present. Okay. Number 6, learn from failures. I just went through some of mine and I told you how I've learned from them. Absolutely go back, plan, do, review all the time. Practice self-care. We kind of talked about that a little bit too. Don't want to end up in the love sack for 3 months like I did because I didn't take care of myself. Okay. So make sure you're taking care of yourself and you have a self-care plan in place. Seek feedback. Go to people that are your mentors, your coaches, people, not your brother, sister, cousin that doesn't care about what you're doing. Okay. Get a mentor. If you don't have one, find a coach, find a mentor, find someone who will hold you in check. If you don't have that person in place, and it's probably someone you need to pay, because you're not going to get honest and feedback and what you need out of a freebie. Okay. You need to find a coach or a mentor that you're paying for their expertise and advice to get feedback on what you're doing and what you can improve on. You absolutely have to identify areas that you can improve on, and freebie's not going to give you that because it's free. It's just not going to be as effective. Learning continuously. High performers are always seeking out personal development. If you always, this was the thing I put on Facebook, you always do what you always done, you're always going to get what you always got. If you are not trying to level up your game and learning something new to put into your either personal development to grow as a human, to grow as a leader, to gain new skills, to figure out how to do new things, new ways, you are not in high performance mode. I am sad to tell you that if you just keep going along the path that you are on, doing what you've always done to try to get something new, it is not going to happen. You will have to try something new to get some new results. Okay? And number 10, stay committed. That's that consistency piece. You cannot start something new and quit. You have to stay consistent. If you're going to do it, create the plan, do it for at least 90 days, 12 weeks, and get it done so that you can then turn around and go, all right, let's do that again. Or let's not do that again, right? You got to stay consistent. You got to stay committed, and you will be on your path to high performance. I hope that you got a lot out of this today. Please send me a message with any thoughts that you have on it. And if you need any of these things repeated to you, you will be able to find this recording in our app, Hustle and Slay, all spelled out, hustleandslay.app. You can go download it for free. You will always have these trainings loaded to it each week. I hope you guys have a fabulous week, and let's get on to being some high performers.